Dear viewers, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to my channel. We are looking at our program, The Roots, and today we are concluding root number 8, which was named knowledge. We have gone through steps of defining knowledge, finding out what we ought to know, what we know yet we don't have to know, and so on and so forth. So, going back to the definition of knowledge, we said it is familiarity, or being aware, or understanding somebody or something. Simply that. Today we are looking at a question which will mark the end of knowledge. When I say we are ending, it doesn't mean that we have exhausted everything, but we happen to just have got some few points here and there about that root. And as I always tell you, as time goes by, we shall discover that these roots will be coming back indirectly within other roots. So what we get is just the basic information about these roots, and I believe throughout our course of learning about these roots, we shall have acquired what we need to acquire that will make our life remain not the same. So the question we have under our program, The Roots, is how is knowledge acquired? You remember we looked at the point that many times we think all we know. And that's right. But what do you know? What do I know? We have a lot of information that we have, which we assume is what we should know when it shouldn't be. Then, in that a lot of information, still we have what should be known. There is always a need to know. It is part of the nature of human being. But what do you know, and what are you seeking to know? In our last teaching, we looked at what we ought to know. And what was on top was that we ought to know the truth. Which truth, I said, is only and only found in the Holy Book. Which Holy Book is that one which you take to be holy? To me, the Bible is the Holy Book. Why is it called holy? Because it's the only book that talks about God. God, the creator of heaven and earth. God, who is the truth himself. There is nowhere else we can get truth other than by knowing God. That's why we began in our first videos at looking at the root, knowing God, knowing yourself. So the question is, how is knowledge acquired? To acquire is to get something. Knowledge is acquired in many different ways and from many sources. I have some few examples I can give you. You can acquire knowledge through observation. Observation is looking at something, seeing something, and you get to some information about what you've looked at. That's why God gave us eyes to see. There are many people who look but cannot see. Many times we look but we don't see. Seeing is detailed looking. Observation is detailed seeing, whereby you have questions. What am I looking at? Why am I looking at it? Why should I look at it? What is the result of this and that? Whenever you have such questions, you are trying to analyze a situation. So knowledge is acquired through observation. And for those of you who can agree with me, when we are in school, we do experiments. And in those experiments, there is a certain step of observation. So in our lives, we should look with the purpose of getting to know exactly what we are looking at. Why do we look at it? Another way we acquire knowledge is by inquiry. Inquiring is asking questions. Do you get some moment when you are seeking for knowledge that you ought to have, to inquire or to ask some questions? For example, like the definition has been, being aware of, or getting familiarity with something, or understanding somebody. If you want to understand me, Catherine, do you observe me and make your conclusion about me? For your information, what you conclude may not be the truth, but at least you observe me. Then after observing, you can make inquiries about me. Where do you inquire? Many times we've gone wrong by inquiring from other people other than the very first person to inquire from. If you want to know me, if you want to know anything about me, if you want to get information about me, come to me. We go wrong asking other people about other people. Perception is the way you receive information and the way you interpret it. We acquire knowledge through perception. How do you think about the knowledge you have acquired? The information you've got about something or somebody. Many times you hear people saying, that woman is very, very bad. That guy is very complicated. That is the conclusion we make. You make it, I make it about others. But what is your perception about that person? When you talk to that person, when you get close and you interact with that person, how do you interpret your observation, your discussion you have with him, your behavior in relation to her or him? So knowledge is acquired through perception. Many times we have right perception or wrong perception. Knowledge is acquired through reasoning. Reasoning, I think I can use another word for reasoning, which is logic. God created us with some sense of logic, if not complete sense of logic. The ability to reason correctly or incorrectly. Do you reason correctly about what you want to get information from? Do you reason incorrectly? That will give you the conclusion. So reasoning is a great factor about acquiring knowledge. Memory. It's all about how God created us. He put in us what we call a sense of memory. You acquire information, your information, that information is stored somewhere. I can call it a memory box. Some of us have long memory, others have short memory. There's nobody who doesn't have a memory, either long or short. Even in class, you may find that some children may not be full, as we call them. He's a full student, he's stupid. No, it's just the difference between memory. Some have long memory, others have short memory. What you taught yesterday, he may not remember it today. What do you have to do? To repeat, to bring him close, to say it every time and again. Give him time to do it practically. So we acquire knowledge through memory. What did you learn yesterday? What are you learning about me today? If yesterday you saw me in bad moods, it doesn't mean that today I'm in bad moods. But your memory tells you that what I was yesterday is what I am today, and forever I will be. That's a problem. Another way is by testimony. Testimony is the word of mouth from somebody who has gone through something. When I tell you about me, you get information about me. That's why most times we are warned to be careful, to be watchful. What comes out of our mouth, when it comes out, who we share it with, where is it necessary to share it anyway. Many times people have known us through the word of our mouth, which is testimony. It may either be a positive one, talking about the good that you went through, or negative one, just exhibiting challenges that you go through which put you down. We have a long list of ways or sources by which we get information, but I'll end with that one concerning ways or how we acquire information. I'll add on as I get along. Okay, another thing is like, yes, we acquire information. Is it really important for us to acquire information? Yes, it is. Only that we have to watch the way we acquire information. Then the way we interpret information. We shouldn't be biased because, for example, if you are talking about somebody who I may call my enemy, the information you'll give me, I may not take it the way I want to take it just because I have negative attitude about that person. Somebody talks about you are looking for a job. Oh, in that company called so and so, they are hiring people. And in fact, with the job you are looking for, they advertised it. What company are you talking about? Don't tell me about that company. You know, I have my friend who told me this and that and that. Then another friend of mine said he has a friend, they do this and that in that company. I cannot put my application in that company. Wrong perception. You are biased. The way they treated X is not the way they will treat you. The way I talk to somebody is not the way I may talk to you. Remember, we are different people, individuals, created and fearfully made uniquely. Your blessing is not my blessing. Your favor is not my favor. The way you will be welcomed somewhere is not the way I'll be welcomed. So you should always seek your own blessing, your own favor. Don't rely on other people. We have to acquire knowledge. Why? Because knowledge is power. How powerful is knowledge? We were created as human. We need a lot of things in this life to help us stand as human. when God created us, he created us with what he thought was the basic. Then as we get through this life, a lot is added on us. That makes our life complete. Remember, we are talking about roots. When a seed is put in the ground, it should be put in the right season, that is a rainy season, which will help it to germinate. When the seed germinates, it sprouts, gets out of the ground because the environment is conducive for its germination. After getting out, you start getting happy about your seeds that were put down, now turning into seedlings. Within a short time, you find those seedlings coming out as plants. It is all God is making. For you, what you did was to put the seed in the ground. God helps it to germinate, to come into a seedling, to turn into a plant. And at the end of the day, if it is a bean seed, it starts producing pods, out of which you'll get a lot of beans you eat and get well. So it's the same thing with these roots we are looking at. Our life is incomplete as we think because we are lacking certain things in our lives that we ought to do. A farmer puts the seed in the ground. A farmer watches the seed growing, but it's God who grows it. A farmer waters the garden if it is necessary to water the garden in case of a drought season. And a farmer harvests the crops. It's not God who harvests the crops. So for this case about knowledge, we need to acquire knowledge, I said, because knowledge is power. And when we acquire it, we should be able to manage it well. Acquiring is one thing and managing is another thing. Why do we acquire knowledge? Because we need it. We need to know the truth about something or somebody. We need to know facts. We need to get information. And when we get that, we should be able to manage what we have got. I've known the truth about that woman through this information, ABCD. How do you manage that information? Are you going to keep it as good as you received it, or as good as you interpreted it, or you are going to mess it up and it becomes wrong information? So we need knowledge for truth, facts, and information about somebody or something. Then we need knowledge because in our life, we need to be efficient in our decision making, in our choices, in what we choose to do and not to do, in whom we choose to be our friend and not, in where we choose to be, with who, how. Decision making, it's a life skill. Information acquisition helps us to guide us through our way to make right decisions in life. Therefore, when you get information, when you acquire knowledge, we have to manage it well. Sometime we may talk about knowledge management. It's wide. Information management. For your information, mismanagement of knowledge, information leads to mess. You get messed up because you received the right information, or you got right knowledge about something, but the way you manage it messes it up. You mess yourself because you get confused about it. You mess others because you get confused about them. And some things. Think about a flashlight, a torch. When you receive it or you buy it from a store, you buy battery, you fix them. It is giving you good light whenever you are in darkness or whenever you need it. But once you don't follow the instructions of how to use that flashlight or torch, you are messed up. You mess it up. You mess up others. That's a good example I'm giving you. So after knowing why we have to acquire knowledge, we should know that knowledge, all information which is true, comes from God. That is the greatest source of truth. That is the greatest source of true information. We read a scripture in John 8:32 saying that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. We need to know the truth. Then we will be free. If you know the truth about me, you will be free. And how are you going to know that truth? By referring or consulting God-given information. What does God tell you about a fellow human being? Leave alone Catherine because you see her every day. Leave alone your mother because she's always on your neck. Do this, do this, do this. But what does God tell you about dealing with others, relating with others? That is the truth. So God should always be put first in everything because He Himself is truth. People tell us about God in our worship places. Our parents, if they are God-fearing people, they tell us about the truth. That is God. Everywhere we go, where we find people who know God, tell us. And the holy books that we read, whatever belief you are in, is a good source of information about God, who is the truth. So let's try to know, to embrace the word of God from His holy book so that we get to know God more and what He wants us to know in terms of getting information. Information about yourself. You should get information. You should know more about yourself than others. I emphasize this. Before you seek for knowledge and information about others, know yourself first. Because if you are messed up in knowledge about yourself, then you'll be messed up in knowledge about others. You become trouble to yourself and you become trouble to others. After knowing God, know yourself, then you know others. It will help you. It will make your work easy. It will help you not to be a burden to others, and it will help them not to be a burden to you. After knowing yourself, there are certain other things God wants us to add on. Skills. Skills is the ability to perform, to do things with our hands, with our brain. It's a great combination of different things. We have people like mechanics, we have people like teachers, we have people like doctors, we have people like engineers, we have people like farmers, more and more and more. Whatever you are there, you have some skills. We have gifted people. We have talented people. You need to know about such things from those people. Why? They have a way they do things that you need to make your life complete. Don't ignore people. Love a teacher because of what a teacher is. Love a doctor because of what a doctor is. He has been gifted, he's skilled, he's knowledgeable, he's technical. Many times we live like we are on an island just because we don't want to know. Go inquire. Do you realize sometimes we even need medical guidance and counseling, but we cannot inquire from people who are in the medical field? You a parent there. You have just had a child who is entering school, but you get information from other people. That school is this. Their fees is like this. They do this and that. At the end of that day, you ask that person giving you information, do you have a child there? No, but I hear it. Why do you hear from third party, fourth party, fifth party? Do it yourself. Get information from skilled people. That's when you'll also be skilled. We have people who are professional people. You need them. We have people who are certified. You need them. We have people who are licensed in their performance. You need them. Don't be like you are stagnant water, which doesn't move. God created you with the ability to move, to multiply, to get anything you can get. If you have to go to school, go to school. There is information, there is knowledge. Read books, read newspapers, go to media. Choose what you wish should be good for you. There is also some information, if not all information, which you can get through apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is learning from an experienced person. A mother is an apprenticeship to her daughter concerning housework. A father may be a carpenter. He's an apprenticeship to his customer, to his learner, through showing him this is how we use the hammer, this is how we use the saw. We need such things. Knowledge is important, by the way you manage it. You need to know the resources, the how of things are done. Oh, this is done using this material. A builder will not know how a house is built unless you have inquired about the materials used to build a house. Those are resources, material resources. Financial resources. You want to go to school, but you don't even know how much money you are going to pay. You just talk about it. Inquire. You want to buy land. You say, I'm going to buy land. I have my 1 million here. Have you tried to find out how much that land really costs? And will you be able to do it with the money you have? Financial resources. Human resources. We have many people who have been gifted by God to help us along the way. Make friends with them. Inquire from them. Get information from them. Get knowledge. When do we get information? When do we get knowledge? Anytime, as long as you live. So never underestimate yourself. I hear people who say, oh, now I'm too old to go to school. I'm too old to do that. Yes, there are certain things which may have gone beyond your control as far as age and ability is concerned. But keep trying. We go to schools where you find people of 80 years old still in school. We don't laugh at them, we don't criticize them, but you go to them and ask, why are you in school? I'm telling you, those people will give you good information. Parents who are there, do you realize that you need to go to school to get knowledge and skills of parenting? There are many old people I find in school having gone there just to get a certificate in bringing up children. You ask her at the age of 80, why did you come? I came here to learn about good parenting. When I was still having my children, the methods I used, I have outgrown them now. We are in a modern world. I have to know how babies in this modern world are raised. Can you believe that? But you and I, when do we get time to think about that? If your father used to drive a Peugeot car, now we have different types of cars. Don't talk about, my father had a Peugeot, when I get money, I'll have to look for the car called Peugeot because that's what my father used to drive. Stop that. Think about things the way the world is moving. Seek knowledge. Seek information. Get it from the right people. Don't be biased. Don't be so proud. Because if you are proud, you will not get the right information because you don't want to know. Don't be arrogant. So in the process of acquiring knowledge, you are learning and getting education. Whoever is seeking knowledge, you should remember you are learning and you are getting education. That education may be formal, may be informal. So never underestimate whichever way or method you use to acquire knowledge. You may acquire it from your parent, at home, in the house. That is informal education, but it helps you. You may acquire it from your professor at school, in class, or in books. That is informal education. It is very important for you too. So don't underestimate whichever method of acquiring education or acquiring knowledge or information you have. Don't be mistaken by a lot of information that comes flowing like water on media. Use the ability God has given you to make the right choices, make the right decision. I hear many people say, for me, I don't watch media because they have wrong information. No, not all of it is wrong. You are just biased. That's a wrong perception. You can watch a program with a question at the back of your mind. How do I benefit from this program? And if you see somebody watching a program, as long as it's not a very bad program, don't criticize. Don't be negative. Because if you are not benefiting from it, that person is benefiting from it. Let's try to get all ways of seeking information, seeking knowledge, not because we are going to judge others, but because it is going to empower us to be what we should be, to have what we call complete life. Therefore, when we seek knowledge and information, we should not end there. We have to be practical. There are many people who are schooled but are not educated. I say it again. There are many people who are schooled but are not educated. We see a lot of people getting books, going to school. They stay at school for years and years. At the end of the day, we join them to celebrate at graduation ceremonies. And it ends there. He has a degree, he goes on to masters, he goes on to PhD, he becomes a professor, just going through school process. If you don't perform what you got from school, it's useless. Your father guides you on how to do things while you are with him in the house or at home. Yes, Daddy, I've got it. You even tell others about it. My daddy told me. He taught me this and that and that. My mother taught me this and that and that. But you are just theoretical. That is useless. About knowledge or seeking information, let's acquire it. Let's seek to get it in the right way. Let's be able to manage it well. Let's be practical. That combination will help you to be a person who is full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Remember, we started with a scripture about King Solomon, who was going to be a leader, a king for Israel's. And when God asked him what he wanted, he said, I want knowledge. Why? Because he was going to lead people whom he had never led. People of different knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He was going to go to places which he had never imagined. The Bible tells us that God gave him knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And trust me, in the society where we are, you can easily tell a person who has knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. My prayer is that God helps us to seek right information, to seek knowledge, to manage it, and to be practical. That's when we shall have complete life. That's when we shall not burden others. That's when we shall not be burden to others. Thank you once again for watching. Continue subscribing, continue sharing. You can watch my live videos on Facebook, or you can go on YouTube. What I present here is what is posted on YouTube. See you another time next week. God bless.